Okay, the first also I would like to pay the most venerable teacher and all venerables and everybody. Today my group is today I want to introduce about my group. My group is talking about chapter 7. So my group member and the response of all the group member in the lesson in the chapter 7, there are one the introduction lesson by Venerable Chimut, 2 introduction about the lesson self-immolation in Buddhism by Venerable Yanseng, 3 Society in Indian Buddhism by Mss Dy Sreyneang, 4 Euthanasia by Mss Heng Thida, 5 Compassion by Mss Phal Bophan, 6 must life be preserved at all costs by Mss Phen Sothavy, 7 Conclusion by the Mrs. Imjanta, and the 8 it is my response. The 8 is I am the controller, I am the taper, the some lesson to the computer and to make the video or the editor. Today I'm going to talk about the chapter 7. So in the chapter 7 focus on the suicide and euthanasia. So first also I would like to introduction about the definition of suicide and euthanasia. So the word suicide, it meaning that the act of killing yourself intentionally, and euthanasia, it's meaning that the act of killing someone who is very ill or very old so that they do not suffer anymore. Or we could say euthanasia is the practice of intentionally eating life to relieve pain and suffering. So in this lesson we focus on the message in the Buddhism that that the venerable monk that he burned himself, it is right or wrong. So in this point I cannot talk about the right is wrong. So in the next point you will see about the answer yourself, because it is not only one point that I'm talking. So in this lesson I'm going to talk about the Vietnamese man Thich Van Dak, that he burned himself alive on a main street in Saigon, Fair, June 1963. Thich Van Dak's suicide was a protest against the religious policies of the dictator Nguyen Dai Diem, who had persistently favored the country Catholic minority. Thich Van Dak's finally testimony read before closing my eye to go to the Buddha. I have honor to present my word to the President Diem, asking him to be kind and tolerant towards his people and enforce a policy of the religious equality. So in this lesson I don't talking it's much, because I want to give the opportunity to my group member that the specially point that they will talking about the clearly of the word euthanasia and the example and the suicide. So let's see the next video. My point is talking about the self-immolation in Buddhism. So the meaning of the self-immolation is the action of destroying or causing serious harm to oneself. So in this lesson we focus on the one most venerable that he from Vietnam, that he burned himself. So this talking in the introduction video. So in this lesson I just talking the some percent the some percentage of the burning. So the Thich Van Dach dramatically and his life in the 1963. He was both an innovator and an imitator. His special form of self-immolation has been copied worldwide. Vietnam accounts for by far the largest number, with some 23%, and of the total representing 70 deaths. Next come India 16%, South Korea 14%, and the USA 9%. Most of the people who burn themselves as an act of the populace to protest. The young men typically age about 25. They are almost the student. So the Vietnamese form of Buddhism is something else, a hybrid, has been exposed to both Mahayana and Theravada. So that you know the Mahayana and the Theravada is the sector of the sector or the branch of the Buddhism. Just the Mahayana and Theravada influence, but the strongest influence comes from China to the north. In China, there are many historical precedents for individuals burning either themselves or parts of their body for religious reasons. The burning of the body in a token way has formed part of the monastic ordination ritual in China and Korea. Down to modern times. In the course of the ordination ceremony, a small corn of incense is placed on the monk's southern head and ignited. When it burns away, it leaves a permanent mark on the skull. Other more dramatic example feature in the historical records, including burning out fingers or entire limb, usually the arms, and in extreme cases burning the whole body. 10th century tried by the Chinese monk Yongming Yansu since the year 904 to 75 comments. This practice is ordinary monk and nuns. The authority discreet accusing that such extreme acts were only appropriate for create bodhisattva that we call in the Khmer language that we call prabodhisattva. Such deaths were seen by those who approached them as sacrifice to the Buddha, recalling the master's own cremation and demonstrating great pity and devotion. In the Pramajala Sutra, mean that in the book of the Chinese. So the Fan Wenqing say that if one does not set fire to the body, the arm of the finger as an offering to the Buddha. One is not renunciant bodhisattva. Moreover, one should sacrifice the feet, hands, and flesh of the body as offering to hungry tigers, wolf and lion, and to all hungry ghosts. The Buddhist pedigree of this fairy society is therefore open to question. Society has also been common in the neighboring in Japan in the ritualized form that goes by the name of the Shibugo. It is also known as the Haragiri, a more vulgar term into the slit, the abdomen. In the modern times, large number of the societies actual among in the Japanese military in the wake of the country's defeat in the Second World War. Since many samurai turned to Buddhism, some commentator has come to see society as legitimized by Buddhist teachings and have gone so far as to claim that the practice of society was approached out by the Buddha. So it is my point. So I want to say goodbye.
All I would like respect to teacher, respect all vulnerable, and say hello everyone. This is my presentation. Talk about society in Indian Buddhism. I study at Prasayanuk Raja Buddhist University in Battambang branch. My name is Dy Sreyneang. My topic is society in Indian Buddhism. The nation that society is permitted in Buddhism has gained currently largely because of a small number of well-known cases in the Pali Canon, when monks who were sick and pain took their own lives and apparently received a posthumous endorsement from the Buddha. This view was put forward in the 1920s. His general position seemed to have been that society is wrong, but that we should not judge too harshly those who take their own life in circumstances of great pain or distress. One early school, the Sarvastivada, seems to have supported the view that society may be permitted to avoid loss of azad status. And we are also told that the Buddha renounced his life principle 3 months before he died. Whether his constituted society would seem to involve definitional problems of the kind described earlier. For example, when the monk Channa declares that he is contemplating using the knife to end his suffering, the reaction of the Azad Sariputra is to dissuade him in the strongest terms. This comment reflects the broad position of the early tradition, namely that acts of violence should be avoided and that should never be caused intentionally, even when it is one's own life that is in question. The commentary to the third Parajika relates how on one occasion the Buddha gave instruction to the monks on a specific form of meditation known as contemplation of the impure. This is a method used to counteract attachment. In practicing it, one reflects upon the body is impermanent, a thing subject to decay and corruption, and not a proper object of attachment. Having instructed the monks on this theme, the Buddha retired into seclusion for a fortnight. they found a willing assistant in the form of Mss Dy, a same recluse who agreed to assist by killing the monks in return for their robe and bowl. It will be noted that the rule the Buddha introduced prohibits assisting others to commit suicide, not suicide itself. The reason for this is likely to be the technical one that the monastic rules are drawn up with a view to imposing appropriate sanctions and penalties on those who break them. In the case of a person who has killed himself, this question clearly does not arise. While these facts do not by themselves mean that suicide is immoral, it does make it difficult to claim that it has any foundation in the early teaching or was approved of by the Buddha. The general tenor of the early teachings, with their strong emphasis on nonviolence, seem to oath with the kind of self-mutilation and destruction of the human body practiced in part of Asia. All of these points talk about the Buddha introduced prohibit assisting others to commit suicide, not suicide itself. Thank you very much for your paying attention and listening my presentation.
Hello, my name is Thida. My point is euthanasia. Euthanasia is mean the dependence, killing of the patient suffering from an degradable and painful disease in an indivisible. By euthanasia, here is mean intentionally causing the death of the patient by act or omission in the context of medical. Two principles most of euthanasia are commonly distinguished, namely active and passive. For example, by lethal injection, passive euthanasia is the intentional causing of death by omission. For example, by failing to provide food, medicine, or some other requisition for life. That's all.
Good morning, teacher. Good morning, everyone. My name is Bophan. My response is compassion. So, what is compassion? Compassion is sympathetic pity and concern for the suffering or misfortune of another. It means that you fellow feeling sympathy, sharing, helping, and pity to them. Example, you go to the market and you saw blind or beggar, and then you feel pity and you get some money to her. So this example is mean that compassion, because you feeling pity and you get some money to her. I have a quote of compassion. Be kindness for everyone to meet is fighting a harder battle. So, do you understand the quote? Okay, everyone, how can we show compassion? It's many ways to show compassion, but I choose only 5 to show compassion. First is open the door for someone. Second is motivate others. The third is practice acts of kindness. The fourth is hug or handshake. And the last is saying encouraging words. So 5 ways that we call compassion, but have a lot of ways that can show the compassion. Okay, now that's all for my points. So move to my friend. Thank you.
3
Hello, my name is Phen Sothavy. My point is talking about must life be preserved at all costs. Yes, the first we should to know about the word life. According to dictionary of Sambok Songkriat Junat, life it means that the journey of living, and the preserve mean that self and social life and etc. Cost mean that the estimate the price of. The meaning of my point mean that life need to preserve by not use the money, and we can save our own life. Buddha Gosa have two persons for discuss about this point. The first person wish to die, they cease to take food and they don't want to need the maintenance from the nurse. The second patient wish to live. The second patient wish to live, but they are resigned to the fact that they are beyond medicine help. We cannot avoid of the death. That cannot be reborn forever. We can prolong of the death by the beyond medicine when no cause or recovery inside is a denial of the reality of human morality, and would be seen the Buddhism as arising of delusion and excessive attachment. That's all for my this point.
Okay, the last point is the conclusion. Conclusion in this lesson meaning that a traditional view in the Buddhism that the human lifespan is determined by karma, and accordingly death will come at the appointed time to certain life, artificially through suicide or euthanasia is seen by many Buddhists as tampering or interfering with one's destiny. As regards suicide, the people take their own lives for many reasons. We need to know something as the motivation and circumstance involved before making a judgment. In the context of terminal care, it is widely felt that it is preferable to allow events to take their natural course rather than resorting to euthanasia to shorten life. Not all Buddhists agree. However, some, particularly in the West, see Buddhism as allowing its followers the freedom to choose the time and manner of their death in the way that they see fit. Euthanasia has been legalized in the Netherlands and Belgium, and no doubt Buddhists in this and other countries have found themselves on opposite sides of the death path. Just a Chinese Buddhist in the 10th century disagreed on whether it was right to burn lamps. So Buddhists today may differ on the morality of suicide and euthanasia. That said, there appears to be no strong demand for the legalization of euthanasia by Buddhists. Throughout Buddhist country, euthanasia could be legal and could not legal. In the West, the San Francisco Center has offered facility for dying since 1971 and started a full-scale training program for hospice works in 1987. In 1986, the Buddhist Hospice Trust was founded in the UK. Not itself a hospice, this organization exists explore Buddhist thinking on matters relating to death, dying and bereavement. Buddhists has a great openness about death and encourage its followers to meditate on it and prepare for it in practical way. The death of the Buddha is the best or the most example for the Buddhists would seek to emulate. Despite being 18 years old and having suffered various painful illnesses in the last month of this life, he faced death manful and serenely, as he thought more out other than himself. Only after giving his disciples a final opportunity to ask questions and clear up any remaining doubts about his teaching, he entered final the nirvana or the Napian, that our Khmer language that we call Napian. Okay, so I want to say thank you so much. Thank you so much to the most venerable teacher and all venerable and everybody that you pay attention to listen my video presentation, especially for all the group member that they present presentation in this entire video. So I want to say thank you so much.